Hey every pony, New Leaf here, and today I can finally tell you about all my amazing adventures at GalaCon 2020. I took so many pictures from it. I just started out with a total of 300 something pictures, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all of this convention in just about 150. So, without further ado, every pony, lay back, grab some cookies, some milk, and enjoy yourself as I recite my amazing time at GalaCon 2022. And so every pony, my journey to GalaCon began. And that was by riding in one of these metal tin cans. And they tell me that Germans are punctual, so I decided to believe them, but that was a horrible mistake. Anyway, I did climb onto this. And one good thing about these was that, you got to see a lot of nature. Even though you were moving, you had time to admire everything, and that was really cool. It took a lot of time. There were many transitions at various train stations. I think this was transition number 2, and this was transition number 3. But you see on that blue sign at the very top where it says Ludwigsburg, after about 3 hours I was getting closer. But look at the bottom. You see all these people, they were all on this next train. It was packed to the brim, every pony. But after a total of 5 hours, I would make it to Ludwigsburg. And I was happy, and I was absolutely relieved that was finally over. That journey, not anything for soft ponies, no. And I didn't waste any time going to the hotel and get a look at this room. And seriously, look at this. We got some Leaf logic happening in real life here, every pony. That was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever had. So for starts, you already see I'm a one pony, and they somehow gave me a double bed and a bunk bed. So this was a room designed for 3 ponies, but I was only 1. But it gets even better, because I booked 3 nights, but somehow someone made a mistake and I only had to pay for 2 nights. Don't know how that happened, don't ask me. But overall, this hotel's pretty, pretty beautiful for what it is. But since it's Friday evening, didn't have much time to do much of anything. That's because on Friday evening, there's usually a special con before the con, and it's called PubCon, and there's a bunch of people there, and you can meet them right here in this very corner where the gray house is. It's the Towers restaurant, and I got to eat something there, but had to say hello to the mascot there, and do they have a name? I don't know if they have a name, but they do have an amazing looking pony. And you can't go to an Irish bar without having a good drink, and I got apple cider, and it was not the only cider that was had that night, I can tell you. And to go with it, I had one of these. This was a burger with a crispy chicken burger. I'm pretty sure the chickens didn't mind, they didn't complain, right? And neither did I, because that food was way good. I ate just about everything that there was. But aside from the glorious food, of course, it was an excellent time to meet old and new faces, make new friends, and, just chat a little bit. I also got to meet a lot of, famous faces, which was really cool to talk to. And, also, speaking of faces, this is technically a face on the stick, but it is the mascot of PonyCon Holland, and maybe I'll go there. But, this plushie is actually amazing because it can open its mouth, and I think it has a magnet in there for the little waffle thingy. I couldn't stay too long because I wanted to be up and ready for GalaCon the next day. And I think that started way in the morning, so I wanted to get my Z's in before the next day. And, I wasn't exactly alone, you see. Some pony came with me. And, to round out the night, we tried our hoof with these boxes that humans like to look into, ponies. Was curious. I think there was a soccer game that night. It was pretty fun to see. And, admiring this room just a little further, I didn't even realize, but you could set it so that only, these lights were turned on. It was really beautiful, considering this was a budget hotel, and we struck a massive deal. That was amazing on so many levels you won't even believe. But, ponies, eventually I did go for some sleep. And, you know, the most important thing after sleep is a big breakfast. Because on this one, you can eat as much as you want. And for me, that is basically an invitation to eat all of it. Look at this. There's like breads. There's a bunch of jams, fruit, pretzels to the right there. Then I think there was a lot of vegetables and fruits over there, cereal, eggs, you name it. That is exactly what I want to see in the morning. Aside of the breakfast, of course, the other beautiful sight was the amazing sunrise. Just stepping outside the hotel, seeing all of that. I mean, if that is an indication for an amazing day that's ahead of you, then nothing is. And I think I was about 10 minutes away from GalaCon, and I did go there eventually and was greeted by these flags. These flags tell you that you've come to a good place and you're about to have a good time. And over there I met some very familiar faces, and that was Izzy right here. And yes, there was plenty of Generation 5 merch to go around, but we're going to take a look at the merch very in-depthly throughout this video, I tell you. Outside before the convention began, though, we did get a little bit of time to look at some of the other ponies and the merch that other con-goers brought along. Look at this huge Pinkie Pie, this cart full of plushies. The bag that he has, that's also Pinkie Pie. I think we know what pony he likes. Oh, look at this big plushie. Almost forgot about him. Look at how huge he is. I think he's bigger than the pony holding it. Then over here we have a Starlight Glimmer, which I think was even bigger than all of the other ones thus far. And you know how it needed a cart to carry her around. That's how big she is. And another activity that you could like get involved with before the convention actually opened is there was like this huge paper outside, and you could like draw things on it. And someone drew something cool, and you know, I couldn't resist drawing something there too. But I also couldn't resist looking through the windows. Look at that. That's a Luna with socks in the very distance. But then I got focused again on the initial task of wanting to draw something, and there we go. Drew some real tiny for at least the 2 seconds that I had. But eventually, convention would open and we would get to go inside, and I started to take a look at the various merch that we have. Look at this pony. They have a bunch of mugs, cups, and I think buttons, but a lot of ponies had buttons. Then there was this one, which had, I think, a lot. Oh yeah, I think that's a glasses cleaning thingy. Those things at the right. Then at the top you see cards. That's pretty nice. Then this next pony had a lot of little plushies. Then here we have a familiar convention, PonyCon Holland, and I know some went wrong with the picture, but I had to go there. And then over here we have I think that's just like lights, but they're like with they're like crystals. You can set them up everywhere. Then over here, there was like at the bottom, that was some egg surprises kind of thing, like the German egg Kinder Überraschung things. And that was pretty nice to see, but of course I didn't have too much time to admire all of this because the convention was starting, and you can't start a convention without an opening ceremony, as science will tell you. And it was really nice to see, and you know, considering this was been, I think, 2 or 3 years after my last convention, I was missing this. But like always, if you take a look to the sides here, there's banners from other conventions, and that left one and the right one should seem very familiar to you because we saw some of that in HeartSwingCon 2020. And then the ceremony officially begun, and they started this off with a little bit of an animation thingy. And this was done by Captain Horse, and he makes some pretty hilarious things. It was a nice and cheerful way to start this. But then, of course, you can't have your convention without a mascot, and the mascot eventually came out. Candy was really excited, as you see here. She has, you know, does make you wonder, where do the mascots stay when there is no convention? Do they just, like, lock you up? I don't know. But then what else does a convention need? Yes, it needs guests. Down here we see Ellie Ray. She was an amazing person to be around, a lot of good things to say, but I went to her panel and we're gonna talk a bit about what she told us when we get there, every pony. And this was basically her just introducing herself. Super amazing. Then of course we have community guests that you can't forget about. A lot of musicians, animators, and to the left we have Dusty Cat, very amazing person as well. We also will talk about his panel later. But yes, they didn't start this off without offering us yet another treat in this beginning panel. Over here we see an acrobat that they let do tricks on stage, and it was pretty interesting to see. And you see how she's like hanging literally by a thread, a little piece of fabric. That's all. I would be losing my mind being this high and likely would fall. Let's not kid ourselves there. But eventually that opening ceremony was done and we could continue our journey through the merch. Look at this one. This is a bunch of cute pillows, and I did get some stuff. And we'll go about the loot that I got from the convention at the very, very end here. Then over here we have, I think this was Sunt. Look at the little figurines. We have cards, mugs, pictures. The guy has everything. But every pony, like always, there was a QR hunt. You have to find 50 of these in total, and throughout the convention I would start hunting these, and I don't think I did horribly, but we'll go over the total that I had towards the end as well. That was a pretty fun activity to do. But continuing on our little merch trip here, you had little I think body pillows, but they were like super tiny, as you can tell. And of course, throughout the convention, there were like little flyers from other conventions, UK PonyCon, Equestria. There's a lot of convention stuff going around for us, and of course, PonyCon Holland is also like at the beginning of October. I tell you, one thing that I was talking about with another pony is if you had a dream job, and that was, you know, visiting conventions, you could literally go to a convention every single weekend and travel from convention to convention. That's how many there is. And over here we had yet another heated debate between Princess Celestia and Luna, and they were fighting over who was the most expensive, and ultimately was a tie. But seriously, look at that price tag. That was some expensive plushies, but they did look gorgeous. I mean, not only do you get the plushie, but you get like the little crowns or the armor, and that is really tough to do, I'm imagining. And over here we have another huge and expensive plushie. This was Applejack. Seriously, look at how big she is. She's almost the size of that table in the background. But, you know, if you can't afford hugging one of these, then here's the solution. There was fursuits around, and we see, I think, a Bat Pony to the left, and we have Fizzlepop Berry Twist to the right. And you always have to hug them because they're soft. That's just a rule. But over here we have a familiar face from my Heartswarming Con video, and of course I gave him a hug again. At this point I'm pretty sure he recognizes me. Then over here we have some curious fursuits. These aren't ponies at all, but I didn't know what they were to be exact. I think this is a fox? Dog? Wolf? I don't know. Well, but they were curious and totally amazing nonetheless. But once I started to get going a little bit more and searching for more QR codes, I ran into this. I didn't know what it was, but I found it. Came to the right neighborhood, friend. Find me and ask for a treat. You see at the bottom, I think it says Pixel Shop, but I could not find what this was about ponies. Could not figure this out. But outside I found something else, and ponies were starting to draw with, I think, chalks on the little tiles, and they made some beautiful artwork, actually. It was really amazing to see, but we're gonna see more of these being done throughout the weekend. But I wanted to go back inside for the first panel, and I kind of came late a little bit, but this is a familiar one because we had something similar in 219, and that is Trixie Wants You. This is where ponies need to compete, and if you do well enough, you become Trixie's assistant, and congoers can compete. And every pony, I'll make you a deal on this one. If, you know, something crazy happens, down the line, I will make a survey, and if you ponies want me to partake in one of these, I will totally get out on stage and do this for you, ponies. That's what we do around here. But among the tasks this time was something like this, cutie mark guessing, and I guess it wasn't so much about knowing these, but rather writing them down quick. I think you had like a minute 20 writing all these down, so you really had to write quickly. And they had like these boards that they had to write on. Another task was video games, and you know, that's kind of what we do around here. This was a familiar one, even this was Fighting is Magic. As someone who's done pretty decently in them's Fighting Herds, I think I would have been able to nail that one. Then there was Staring Contest. Oh boy. And they had an interesting take with the cameras this time. You see at the bottom, you see the volunteer filming them, and on the top screen you see like them staring. So it was really cool to get a different perspective on this as a viewer in the background. It was really cool. And oh yeah, this was another interesting task. They had to stack cups, and you see everyone came up with different ways of doing it. Unfortunately, even though the pink guy was doing really well, his tower collapsed with like 2 seconds on the clock. Massive respects for him. Press F to pay respects and all that. Then we have, oh yeah, the final. The final was really cool because it was just Prince, like in the movie when they did dancing, and sure enough, they brought out the dance mats for this one. And they had to, essentially it was what we also did on the channel with Trotmania. That's it. You know, modded, I don't know what the original called, but it's basically another pony version of a game, and this one includes pony songs, and they had to dance to some of these and ultimately crown a winner with it. It was really amazing to see. After this panel, though, I decided to look around again, and we got to see some cool cosplays. There's not only one Luna, but 2 Luna. Seriously, look at that. And I tell you, there's gonna be even more Luna down the line here. There is so much beautiful cosplay. It's amazing. But before I, got a chance to wander around much, some more huge plushies caught my eye. Seriously, look at how big these 2 are. Look at this Twilight. The head of that is giant. But then you take a, this is around the corner from the previous picture, and there is the Applejack from previously, but there's also the huge Fluttershy. I mean, that is just amazing and huge and kinda intimidating. Then here we have something kind of also intimidating, but also super impressive. Look at that beautiful picture of Daybreaker. She is very gorgeous, even though awfully power hungry, if I tell you. But I'm sure those pictures take a lot of time to do, ponies. And once again, I was like, I haven't done a panel in a while, so let's go to a panel. And this time, this was Ali Ray's voice acting panel. And for this one, I actually took some notes down here because she told us that there's 3 things that are important. But seriously, look at all the balloons. You can barely see her behind all this. And she told us that for like something like voice acting, something like this, you need 3 things: joy, love, and you need to be willing to risk things in order to try out something new. And that's not, that is not lying at all. You need to be willing to risk things if you want to get something amazing. That's just the life lesson right there. Let's see, what else did I write in here? Oh yeah, love your audience and feel safe when you're at a convention. Feel like that is like a safe place for you, a place for you to feel at home. And there are also some techniques that she told us, like if you put your tongue behind your teeth, it can make different sound impressions, and she basically gave us an idea to make voices like this one. And it was pretty cool. We learned a lot, both about voice acting, but also life lessons, and that is highly respectable, ponies. And after that panel, I decided to go back out. Actually, look at this. Look at how many people there are at this convention. There was a lot of con-goers, and I hear there's around 1,200 people on the premises at that time in total. Pretty amazing. But after some panels and walking around, you always need a little bit of a break every pony. That is just something you kind of have to discipline yourself towards doing, ponies. But going outside, we saw even more fursuits, and those are adorable, so I gave them hugs as well. Look at the hat on the one on the left. That looks really gorgeous. But I tell you, every pony, if you've ever been on the inside of a fursuit, I tell you, it's warm as heck. And it was a very warm weekend, sunny and everything, and inside there's usually no fancy air conditioners, so it gets really freaking sweaty. But the main reason we came outside for a break is because Austin B and Sis were hungry, and we decided to go to have some Greek food, as I was told. Humans told me this is good food, and so we had some. And look at this. This at the bottom is moussaka, which is basically Greek lasagna, and at the top, Sister had a fish, every pony. You know, they told us the fish didn't mind either, so it was all fun and dandy, but seriously, that looked every bit as amazing as it tasted. It was absolutely delicious. And, of course, every pony, as the convention continues, in the evening, GalaCon is that special thing where you can dress up fancily, and I decided to do it after the meal, and head back to the ballroom and look at the musicians. Look at them there. They were having a good time playing some awesome music. And there was just one problem. You see, there is not many con goers standing around them. There weren't many people there. And but there was a Princess Luna thing. It didn't get her centered, but it, you know, it still looks pretty amazing nonetheless, every pony. That's what happens when an amateur tries this stuff. But interestingly enough, another one of those evening activities you could partake in was the gaming room, every pony. And over here, we have, I think, a Resident Evil with ponies, and that may very well be something for the channel down the line. But ponies couldn't even figure out what Resident Evil it actually was. We kind of just guessed it, so I'm gonna have to take a little bit of Googling. But since it was over at the gaming room, I had to do the ultimate thing and get myself into karaoke. And boy, was I on fire. We did True True Friend. I was the wireless blue thing, the light blue thingy on the left screen. And you see, New Leaf kind of kicked some butt. Over and over, ponies. It went pretty much like this for many songs. I tell you, I'm not bad at karaoke. You see, we practiced on this channel before, but after a little bit of singing, I wanted to take more looks around throughout the evening because I wanted to see what else there is. And I found yet another interesting convention. This is in Italy. Not even been to Italy yet, and they have a new convention. And you also see there is, at the top, I think this is an artist, and at the very top you have Discord. A lot of ponies were looking for friends, and I can only tell you that is amazing. But I decided to head to one more panel that is specific for the evening, and that is the PlushyCon panel, where every con goer puts their plushies, and mine is in that very first picture. You see where the Twilights are? I'm pretty sure mine was in that corner. Of course you can't get over and check, but I'm pretty sure she was over there. But it took me a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pictures in total to try and get all of these plushies on pictures. That is how huge the stage was. But let me go back over to this one. This is where I think you can see some of the best stuff. You see the Izzy from before. You see the huge Twilight Sparkle. It was an absolutely gorgeous sight, ponies. And you know, if you wanted to make any estimations on how many there are, well, it's a total of 631 plushies at that panel. Not quite as many as it was in 2019, but still hugely respectable. I mean, consider this. There's about 1,100 people on the premises, and at least 1 out of 2 people was able to give a plushie. It's pretty impressive how many plushies there were out here. But then it was like, you know, maybe now there is more ponies at the ball. I kind of was disappointed. Look at this. There's like 10 people that are not the band, and it's kind of sad. And I was wondering, you know, where are all the con goers? Where are all the party ponies? And you know, there is a second party room here that isn't necessarily so fancy, but it's more the traditional disco. And sure enough, that's where all the people were on that evening. Look at this. It was amazing to rock out some great music, catchy beats. And, you know, there was also an accident or two. I think someone dropped a can. I felt sorry for the volunteer who had to clean up whatever was inside that can, but you know, that's just one of the things that happened as a volunteer. But after the party, I had to take a big nap of slumber, because once again the next day it began kind of early. I think it was at 10 or something in the morning, and I began that day with a interesting panel on Generation 5, which we've also covered a little bit on the channel, and this one started by telling us a little bit about the brand history, as you see here, all the different kinds of brands that they went through within the almost 40 years that that the fandom has been around. And we also got to see a little bit in-depth character sheets on how they designed some of the ponies. And look at the cutie marks, even the props. You see the little bag. It was really cool. But after the panel, I went back outside and I found an interesting tip. It was this: come close and get an illustration of your fabulous appearance here. In the small print it says, "Do not worry, this is just regular unicorn magic and not dark magic that will trap your soul." Oh, I think I need to release some of those ponies that I have trapped. That's a thing for another day to do. But walking around the convention, here's another very famous, or not just famous face, but also very famous piece of equipment. That is Vinyl Scratch's bass cannon. Look at how huge this thing is, and of course it played regular music, and you heard when that thing was coming around. Very amazing. But over here we have Torben, who I think just has some of the best merch out there. Look at what he has at the front. Let's start from the front and work our ways towards the back. At the front, you see school bags, then towards the top you see, I think that's mouse pads. Then going a little towards the center, you see, I think those are like things to put your cup on. Then going even further to the top where his plushie is, I think those are notes. There's blankets and pillows to the very top, and I got a big pillow from him as well, so a little bit of a spoiler on that one, eh? But I quickly had to go to the next panel because this was an interesting one, and this kind of hit close to home for me. It was called Behind the Cons, and we learned about how conventions work. And before I go further, I did, partake in conventions twice by being staff for Heartstormcon in 2018 and 2020, so I knew a little bit about this, but at the same time I wanted to learn more because you can never stop learning too much. This was sort of almost like a lecture in a university, ponies. And over here we have the 5 steps that pass between, applying for a panel and then actually having the panel happen. There's like, applications that they have to sift through, come up with a room, which activities are actually happening, making the timetable, adjusting all of that, and preparing for this to happen. And I tell you, it can be pretty stressful. Look at this human, he was pretty stressed out. He needed to relax a little bit, so he was out on the lake, and I think he handled it well. This is some stress relief management right there. But in all seriousness, coming from a business standpoint, much like in an actual business, there's many different kinds of positions that ponies need to cover, like finances, marketing, logistics, and all that. You need ponies to do these things, otherwise it simply won't work. But then next was me going back outside because I wanted to see what else there is, and I ran into what I thought was a robot. You know, I don't like these. Robots are scary, but this one didn't try to do anything to me, so it was alright. But then I decided to go back out because it was, sort of the middle of day 2, and tried to see if ponies made some more things outside with the chalk, and sure enough they did. That's some country balls. Then over here we have this beautiful drawing of a Pegasus. And further down we have Canny Soda. Look at that. That is a gorgeous Canny Soda drawing. And, I figured that at the end of the convention there was going to be even more stuff out there, so decided to, go back inside and come back out towards the end. And inside I found this. Look at this. This is the plushie from the very beginning, and she had already found a home. Boy, is she adorable, though. And seriously, look at that plushie. That's just gorgeous. Say what you want, but that is just so flippin' gorgeous. With socks and everything. And look at this pony here, the one in the center. He had so much loot. Look at that. He needed an entire basket to carry all of it. That guy was 2 million years ahead of everyone else on the game. But I found some very interesting proposal from this brony here. Look at that. That's a Luna cosplay, and she offered free hugs. So I brought it in. Of course, you need to say yes to hugs. Hugs are like a universal currency. They're always amazing. You can never have too many of them. Then over here we have another huge plushie that I didn't even see earlier. Look at how huge he is. Look at how he has to carry that thing. But then again, I had the similar situation because I also had some really big merch and had to carry that around throughout the entire convention for like half a day. So yeah, that guy with the basket from earlier really smart, and I'm gonna have to keep a look-see that I bring something like that for the next time. But walking around, I found some... what is this? I think this is like some towels that you can lay on. Or could it even be covers for a body pillow? I couldn't really see because it was like sort of in the back. But those do look very adorable. And I think this was the last panel that I decided to go to. And this was the Spark of Creativity. At the bottom we see Dusty Cat. And he talked to us a little bit about, you know, solving problems with creativity. Like there can be obstacles in the way. Things like, you know, you feeling a little bit bummed out after always starting something new and then getting bored of projects, or you keep starting new projects. And also, I also managed to ask him with a question that was specifically about YouTube and how it sometimes can be a little bit unfair with creators. And he, you know, he just told us to see if he can find ways to work around the system, because he also understood that algorithm broken. That's what he told us, and it's pretty darn true. But there was not much more to say except this was all about listening to people's problems and how to fix them, and it was a very good panel. But going outside once more, because it was about to hit the very last panel, or technically, yeah, it's technically a panel, but I decided to take a look outside for some more merch. Here we found some curious and adorable little carry bags, and that was the Starlight Glimmer from earlier. Look at this one. This is literally the size of the entire table. But I then quickly rushed back into the main hall because I wanted to catch the charity auction. That's always the big event right before the closing ceremony. And what makes these auctions so special, every pony, is that you're not just like getting some crazy good merch, but also all the money that they raise with it goes to a good cause. And this time it was for Make-A-Wish, so they can like fulfill wishes of children that are like really sick, and can make them have a good time and fulfill their dreams. It's a very nice thing and a very noble cause. But let's dig into some of the merch that ponies auctioned off. So here we have a almost a meme, really, but it's sort of a tradition to auction something with Fanta on it at GalaCon, and this was not the only Fanta object. Spoilers! This was a music box which did play a little bit of a jingle even when you turned it on. Then over here we have BronyCon merch from 2019, which by the way was the last BronyCon, so that was rare in its own. Then here we have a personal favorite of mine. I love the washouts, and Dusty Cat, look at that. I just see this now. Look at that. They misspelled his name in the first line. Oh, caught you. But on a serious note, I like the washouts, and it's a very cool thing. I probably would have auctioned alongside and trying to get this, but I think it went away for like 400, so it was a little bit on the expensive side. Then over here we have a sculpture made out of pipe cleaners. Yes, this is apparently, what is this, chenille wire? I do not know how to pronounce that, but I guess you can make a pony out of everything if you're creative enough, you know. And then we move on to this thing. That was a very beautiful call out even to Generation 5, because there was a calendar featuring Hitch, and I think this was inspired by that, and they put custom art into that. It was really gorgeous. Then over here we have a very impressive piece of art. This is, I think, yes, this is like with wood, and you know, they engrave designs into it, and you see we have the Hippogriff Kingdom. At the top you see the Land Kingdom, at the top you see the water, and I can just imagine something like that taking literally months to be able to, you know, to finish. Very impressive. As someone who's not very crafty, especially, like me. But then we move over to Fanta item number 2. This was a can inside of Fanta can? Or a camera inside of a Fanta can. And it was curious. It also had regular film and all that, so it was more of a traditional camera, but boy was that silly. I mean, that's like a one one-of-a-kind kind of camera. Then let's move over to this one. Of course, PonyCon Holland also auctioned some things off from the previous year. That's probably, you know, a good way to promote the convention. I was very, very curious to see what kind of things they have in that goodie bag. You see there's a calendar as well, a mouse pad, posters. I think that's a t-shirt at the top right. Very amazing. But the highlight of every convention is the thing that they're wearing on their heads. You see Perry's hat, Dusty's hat, all auctioned away. You see that at the center? That's all three of them, I think. Wait, who was the third hat? I think the third hat was, I think that was Aldi. I think Aldi's hat was also there, right? I hope I have that right. But I think they went away for like 6,000 or 5,000. Those are some amazing hats, but I mean, it's hats, ponies. As someone who has a big hat, I can relate to this. So, I know you can barely read what it says on this, but it was a total of 30,000 euros that were raised in total for the charity, so it was a very, very impressive thing to come together. 30,000 from so many people, the generosity, it was truly impressive. But then, after the charity auction, comes the closing ceremony, the thing that brings an amazing convention to an end and rounds it all out for us. So, of course, you can't have a convention without the staff, like I said earlier on here. You see them? I think this was like the, all the leads. I think we have a marketing pony. I think to the left is the chair. And it was nice to see them because you don't usually see those people as much as like the volunteers that are, you know, outside on the field, if that makes any sense. Then of course we have Canny. She was already, you know, getting ready for being locked up in another closet for the next year or so before she gets to come out again. And of course, here we have the entire crew along with the volunteers in the green shirt. And you see in the, I think on the left side, you see a lot of the ponies in black shirts that is standing sort of in between them. That's the community guests. Really, really impressive to, you know, see how many people there are actually involved with this. And all of these are needed to make the convention as amazing as it ended up being. But, you know, now that it was over, it was like, you know, let's go back outside again. And sure enough, there was new stuff outside. That was Hoofsies from Generation 5. And there was also this Twilight with a little bit of a stick. It's pretty threatening, though. And I don't think she liked that very much. But the main reason to go outside was a group picture because we got to take, you know, a picture of everyone who was out there. This was, so to say, the guests. Of course, you also need the guests for the convention, the other important people. And to round out this convention, me and Sister decided to have another snack. And I think this is probably my favorite picture, not necessarily because of what you can see here, but this was basically at a sandwich restaurant. You can probably guess which one. But out of nowhere, we started to sing Winter Wrap Up, the Karen song, and everything right in this hallway. The workers inside that restaurant had the time of their freaking life. You know how in Equestria Girls, how they suddenly like start, you know, going full musical in the cafeteria? That's exactly what happened there. And here's the selection of stuff that you had that you could put on there. I think by now everyone figured out what kind of restaurant this is. And this is what I ended up with. There was a tuna sandwich. Sister also had some, you see on the left side, 2 cookies. Cookies is the most important thing. That's non-negotiable. But here's a shout out to Bad Designs. Look at this chair in the center. There's literally no way for you to sit there unless you take a chair from somewhere else. That's a little curious one. I'm pretty sure that's the same people who gave me the 3-bedroom for a single pony. And of course over here we see Beauty Leaf. She was having a very, very, very good time out here. And you know, with that we pretty much had to say goodbye to the convention. Look at that. GalaCon in the sunset. And that was also a good opportunity for me to say goodbye to a lot of the people that I met. You know, they don't usually see ponies on the premises, but I was there. But then I also realized, wait a minute, New Leaf, the sun's going down. This means you have to go to the portal soon because otherwise you're gonna have to stay here for another week and have duties to attend to in Equestria. Look at, you see the little gap in the clouds? I had to make it through there, otherwise I was not gonna make it on time. And you see, it got really close. Look at how tiny this gap was, but I did manage to squeeze through. And eventually I was above the clouds. Look at how beautiful it is out here. And at the top you see the portal to Equestria. And flying through there concluded my amazing adventures at GalaCon 2022. And here we are, every pony. You can't tell me that you don't want to be there because I know you want to. I'm reading your minds for anyone wondering. Anyway, like I said at the beginning, here is a little bit insight as to some of the merch that I got. There's this big Twilight pillow from Torben's stand. I also got a glasses cleaning towel thingy. Then we have some buttons. This is a purse for coins. And I got this as well. Pretty amazing stuff. But every pony, what can I tell you? You may have already gotten a pretty good idea as to the next convention that I have in mind. Don't know if I'll make it though. The thing is, depends on my working times, every pony. That's usually how it goes, ponies. And that dictates if I can go to a convention or not. And I tell you, this one was totally worth going to. Best thing to happen to me in about 2 years. Alright, every pony, but I suppose with that, I thank all you lovely ponies so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, and remember, every pony, Twilight Sparkle is best pony. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified whenever there's a new video, and there is new stuff here every single day, including a pony who really doesn't want another 2 years to pass until the next convention.